You're listening to Easy Travels, an original podcast from Next Travel Group.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Easy Travels podcast, Next Travel Group's first and only original podcast. My name is Chris, and joining me once again is the real expert here, the true brains behind the operation, the picture of a well-traveled, polytropous man. It's Coach Martin Mussey. How you doing, Martin?
Thank you, Chris. Always fun to hear what your introductions are going to be. I am doing great, getting ready for the 4th of July weekend that is ahead of us. You got any big plans?
No, we're in the middle of a record heat wave where I am, so probably just going to stay inside and try to calm my cat down when the fireworks go off. How about you?
Yeah, right. Yeah, we've got some dogs we gotta, pay attention to and see how they do. We've got a brand new puppy here at the house, so that's gonna be a new one
Oh,
for
boy.
us. Right? But we are headed off to a lake weekend with some friends. And so that'll be some nice time spent out on the lake. But like you, staying cool inside is going to be way too hot at a certain point of the day. But yeah, so looking forward to it. So Chris, I think you and I are about to embark on a little bit of a new journey here at Easy Travels and introduce a new segment that we're going to call Locals Chats. Something that sort of came about thinking about, the upcoming July 4th and all this talk of America's 250 and thinking about this, great country of ours and cities, locales from small towns to big cities, and the things that we often miss in the world of travel because so many people are focused on, far flung destinations across the world. And there's some great things happening right here. So in the future, we would love to have some other guests on the podcast who are excited and want to talk about maybe where they live or their favorite city that they have visited and want to talk about some things a little bit like a travel log and maybe share with us, their favorite spots, their favorite places to go. Maybe you've stayed there, maybe you haven't, restaurants to recommend. So this is again, a little step in a direction to just bring some interest about the things around us that we may not always pay attention to. What is it they say when we never go anywhere in our own town until people come in to visit us. So
Mm.
I'm sure that's happened to you. So, Chris, I'm going to turn it over to you. I think today we're just going to each share a little bit about where we live and some things we want people to know about our town. But are you like that, Chris? Are you one of those that, you really don't go anywhere until people come to visit you?
A little bit. So I'm actually native to the Washington, D.C., Northern Virginia region. And, it's a pretty touristy area. It's a place that has had its ups and downs, just like every city. But there are definitely a lot of places in this area that I think tourists will easily overlook because everyone wants to go to the National Mall and see the monuments and go to all the Smithsonian museums, which is really cool. I love the Natural History Museum. I love the Lincoln Memorial. The reflecting pool is a little weird right now, but that's a whole nother issue. But there's a lot to this area that people coming here as tourists probably overlook. So I'm glad I have the opportunity to talk about it a little because there's some really cool stuff around here. And whether it's food or destinations or just a lot of things that people wouldn't expect from this area. So I guess I'll start out with one of my actually, I'll start out with something that's a little bit cliche, but with a bit of a twist on it. So everyone knows the National Mall, right? All the monuments, like I just mentioned. It's really cool to see during the day. But as I also just mentioned, we're in the middle of a record heat wave right now. I think it's about 102 degrees outside, feels like
Ooh.
110.
Oh,
But
wow.
something about the National Mall that a lot of people don't know is it's actually way more beautiful and picturesque at nighttime than during the day. So at nighttime, you can go and you can see all the monuments and memorials and the fountains and everything. It's all lit up. you go at night and it's not only is it less hot during the summertime, but it's so much nicer to see. There's less people there, it's less crowded. If you're not going too late, the metro is easier to use. I would definitely recommend if you are coming to this area and you want to see the National Mall and you've already seen the museums and all the typical touristy stuff, definitely go to the National Mall at night. You will be glad that you did. But that's, stepping away from the obvious a little bit. There's some other really cool things here. Like one of my absolute favorite places that I've been with my wife many times. It was actually one of our first dates. The National Arboretum, which is just outside of the main sort of area where the National Mall area where everyone associates with DC. DC is actually a bigger city than people realize. But the National Arboretum has, if you like nature, if you like trees, if you like plants like I do, they have everything from they have old Virginia forests and native plants to this region, but they also have really well cultivated and maintained Asian forests. So they have like a Chinese forest, they have a Korean forest, they have a Japanese forest, and you can walk through these places and feel like you're in a completely different country. And
That
it's
sounds
really
really
cool.
cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
that sounds cool.
and it's in a great location. There's some awesome restaurants nearby, and you can make a whole day out of it. And so it's one of those places where a lot of people who come to DC have never even heard of it. Like, what even is an arboretum? Well, it has to do with trees, like Arbor Day. But it's probably my favorite tourist spot, overlooked tourist spot in the whole area. And I really can't recommend it high enough. But if you do that, it is gonna be hot, it is gonna involve a lot of walking, you're probably gonna be tired afterwards, you're probably gonna be hungry, you're gonna want a bite to eat, and if that's the case, another place I cannot recommend highly enough is actually just outside of DC in Northern Virginia, closer to where I live. It's called the Eden Center. And if you've never heard of the Eden Center, and you've already visited the monuments and the museums, one of the area's best kept secrets is in the town of Falls Church, Virginia. And it's the largest Vietnamese American shopping center on the East Coast. And it feels like you're stepping into a whole different neighborhood. It has a market. It's definitely not your typical strip mall. You'll find incredible family-owned restaurants serving everything from pho to crispy banh mi and spring rolls and all the classic Vietnamese staples. It's just a wonderful place to walk around, shop, get a bite to eat. And one of those places, again, that visitors completely overlook and you wouldn't even know is here unless unless you knew about it, unless someone told you about it. So the National Arboretum, the Eden Center, places I really can't recommend highly enough. Like there's so much cool stuff to see in DC, but if you want to do something different than everyone else does, those places are probably your best bets. And if you're looking for places to stay, I really recommend Old Town Alexandria just because it's pretty and it's walkable and there's a lot of stuff to do and places to shop. And the river's right there. It's on the other side of the river from DC, so it's very close. You can take a train. We actually just did a regional. Nexion did a regional meeting at the Westin in Old Town, which was really nice. Another, surprisingly overlooked hotel where a lot of events happen now with a bit of a storied history is the Watergate. Everyone knows about the Watergate Hotel because of Richard Nixon and all that. But it's actually, if you've never seen the Watergate, and I've seen it many times, I've driven past it, I've been inside it for various reasons. It is a beautiful hotel, and it is actually a functioning hotel now. You can stay there. You don't have to stay there. You can just go inside. You can look around. You can just appreciate it for what it is. I'm not enough of an architecture nerd to know exactly what type of design it is, but it really contrasts with some of the older DC architecture it has a lot of that sort of old brutalist architecture, which some people don't like. I actually think it's kind of cool. But the Watergate is just, despite its weird history, is just one of the most magnificent hotels to look at. I really like going there, and I really like just seeing it and appreciating it for what it is. And then finally, I'll give you one more thing before I pass it over to you. My absolute favorite restaurant in this area. It's not in DC, it's in Virginia. But if you are in the mood for some good, authentic Szechuan Chinese cuisine, there is a restaurant called Mama Chang. It is in Fairfax, Virginia, very close to George Mason University, where I went to school. And it is the best Chinese American food. Actually, I wouldn't even call it Chinese American. It's some of the most authentic Chinese food you can get in America. And It is absolutely delicious, one of my favorite places to eat. Local celebrities eat there all the time, and it's just the perfect way to cap a day going around DC and seeing all the less known spots. So yeah, DC is also bigger than just DC. There's Northern Virginia and Southern Maryland and all sorts of cool things here. We have a lot of great parks. We have Great Falls National Park, which is in both Virginia and Maryland. A lot of amazing things that people wouldn't even know about if they were just coming to DC for the typical tourist reasons. So that's a quick rundown of where I live and some of the cool things that you can see, and just from a local perspective, some of the things that people might miss. But what do you think? Are you planning your trip to DC already?
Absolutely. It is all in my head right now. I have had the opportunity, mostly on a work event. It was another time we were in Alexandria that I got to walk around that area. I have to ask you, have you ever done one of those ghost tours around there?
I have not, but I know they're very popular, and it's a great spot for it with all those old buildings.
Yeah, they are. But no, you've given some great things. I've never even heard of some of those things. So, to anyone listening, I know that yes, I am planning in my head what a future trip to the DC and Virginia areas might look like. So, thank you, Chris, for sharing those. That is really cool.
Absolutely.
I'm going to focus in on Dallas. And before I do that, a lot of people, when they fly into this area, they think of, I got to fly into DFW, which stands for the Dallas Fort Worth. That's the airport, of course, but the entire Metroplex area is really made up of Dallas and Fort Worth, but they're pretty far apart. I actually went to school up in a town called Denton, where the University of North Texas is. It forms the perfect triangle in this metroplex. Denton at the top, Fort Worth at one corner, and Dallas on the other. What I do recommend talking about the region is if you're ever to come here, devote some time to just Dallas or just Fort Worth, or take a day trip, one direction or the other. For this conversation today, because I live just outside of Dallas, I'm going to focus on Dallas because I do think that there are some lesser known things that people might overlook. You come to Dallas, and a lot of people end up at Dealey Plaza. They want to look at the historic, areas where the not so great history of Dallas is, with, the JFK Memorial and all that. But beyond those, there's so many other things to go do. And interestingly enough, I am going to actually focus a little bit in the downtown area, the urban part of Dallas, because I have some connection to Dallas from my past, having worked at the Dallas Children's Theater, which was around the downtown area, some places that my wife and I would go on dates before we were married. So, if you look at the downtown area, um, I will share with you that one of the largest arts districts in the US actually exists in Dallas.
Hmm.
And right there, it's called the Arts District, and it is comprised of a number of different sites, but all within walking distance. One of those is the National Sculpture Center, which is very cool. Famous architect Renzo uh, designed that center with the gardens and the building as well. And then there is a deck park called Clyde Warren Park that exists over what we used to refer to as the canyon. It really is just a highway going, through or splitting downtown Dallas. And what they did is they put a deck over it and put in a park, and it keeps expanding. They keep adding features to it. So just walking that park, going to the sculpture center next door in the art district is the many theaters that you can go to. So it's just an incredible area to walk around and get to see. So highly, highly recommend that. Now, if you want to get outside of that, just south of Dallas, there is a area called Oak Cliff. And there's a Bishop Arts neighborhood, it's called. And in the Bishop's Arts district or neighborhood, of course, people live there, but it's very walkable. Cafes, coffee shops, restaurants, art studios, artisans. It's a very unique and eclectic spot to walk around in. Some great restaurants down there to go see. Now I realize that I'm talking very, very urban here and putting you right in the middle of downtown Dallas. So if you need a little bit of nature and you want to get out of that for a while, little known is that there is an entire Audubon center with walking trails not too far from downtown Dallas, and it's called the Trinity River Audubon Center. And it is deep in the trees. There's actually an area that can be referred to as the Trinity River Forest, believe it or not. And again, I just don't think people think about doing it. So when you need the respite from all that concrete, get out to the Trinity River Audubon Center. Lots of great bird watching, some trails. It's up against the Trinity River banks and a larger body of water than you would think. There's a great nature center there as well. Really, really good. Now, all this walking around urban or out in nature is going to get you hungry. So, nothing like some Tex-Mex in the Dallas Fort Worth area. One of our family's favorites, right near the downtown area, is a restaurant in the uptown area of Dallas. So that's uptown, just means just north of downtown Dallas. And it is called Las Palmas, and it is fantastic Tex-Mex, a very cool vibe inside, handmade tortillas. Their fajitas are just amazing, and birria tacos. It's just, oh man, my mouth is watering just talking about it. So it's fantastic. Now, I'm going to throw in one little thing. If you were to take that day trip out to Fort Worth, highly recommend it. If you just, it's such a car culture here, like it or not. There is public transportation, but if you were to jump in the car and head out to Fort Worth, an iconic Tex-Mex place to go out there that's worth the drive is Joe T. Garcia's. Joe T. Garcia's is a Tex-Mex restaurant that has a huge outdoor patio, covered trees. It's been around a long time. That it is so well done and maintained. And they serve everything family style. So you choose between, do you want cheese enchiladas or chicken enchiladas, and then everything else just starts coming to the table. And it's a full four-course meal, including dessert. Little tip, you must have cash. They don't take credit cards. They do have an ATM on property. It is very popular, but plan your trip out to Joe T. Garcia's. Great margaritas as well, both places. So just can't miss. And then you got to lay your head down at night, right? So I'm going to give a little bit of a recommendation to a place again, coming back to downtown Dallas. It's just in the same sort of uptown area. And this is part of the Marriott autograph collection, and it's called the Stoneleigh Hotel. And the Stoneleigh Hotel was established in 1923. It is a historic landmark. Interestingly enough, it was once one of the tallest structures west of the Mississippi. I wonder how long that lasted. I think there's a place in Galveston that claims that as well. So at one point, it was one of the tallest structures. It is Art Deco from the 1920s. It's just a very cool hotel. If you have an opportunity to stay there, even if you just go in to experience the lobby, go to their lounge and bar. It is one of the places my wife and I would go for date nights before we were married because it had a piano bar and a lounge in it. And it was just very comfortable and relaxed. And a great pianist would be there playing jazz or anything like that. So just a great spot to go to, the Stoneleigh Hotel. So, those are some of my recommendations in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. What do you think, Chris?
Nice. And just like you said to me, I did not know most of those places even existed. I had never heard of them before. So that sounds really cool. Dallas was, I'll be honest with you, it wasn't the top of my list of places in the US to travel, but now that you put it that way, I'm actually pretty interested to see some of Dallas Fort Worth, which I've never seen before.
Yeah, yeah, highly recommend. Come visit. By the way, everyone, just so you know, as you're listening to this, you're like, how am I going to remember all these things that Chris and Martin have shared? For this episode, as well as for future episodes with guests that we might have in this spot, we're going to go ahead and put some links to all these things that we've talked about in the show notes so you can find them later. And should you want to make a trip to DC or to Dallas, you'll be able to look those up and bookmark this and find it later so you can find your way to these maybe overlooked destinations. So I think this has been a really good start to this series. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I really like that we're talking about this stuff because, we've been doing a lot of chats with our supplier partners, which have been great. But I think it's also good to have people on to talk about just because, we're a travel podcast. We like to travel, we like to move around. So, and there's a lot of, as we said at the top, overlooked places here in our own country that, and even places that everyone knows where Dallas and DC are, but, a lot of people would not know about the places that we mentioned. So I'm sure there are a lot of other great cities and towns out there that we might have heard of in name, but we don't know about the really cool and exciting destinations, attractions, hotels, restaurants that you could see and stay at and experience if you go to those places. So I hope we get to
Yeah.
have more of these really cool conversations.
Absolutely. So, if you're listening to this and you're excited about where you live or another great city, it doesn't have to be a big city, it could be a smaller city. Do send a message to communications@nexion.com and let us know that you'd love to be on the podcast. We don't hear from you. Trust me, we'll reach out to you. So, with that said, Chris, take us to the close.
All right. Thanks, Martin. Great conversation today. Looking forward to hearing from all of you and from all of us at Nexion Travel Group. To all of you listening, until next time, easy travels.
Easy travels, everyone.
If you have enjoyed today's episode, please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Drop us your thoughts or even show topic ideas in the comments of this episode or email us at communications@nexion.com.